Welcome to the Filmcast review of Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. I'm going to read the plot summary from IMDb. Benoit Blanc returns for his most dangerous case yet. End quote. We here on the Filmcast have greatly enjoyed the Knives Out films, and we're very curious about this one, which obviously has faith as a major element of the movie. Devindra Hardawar, you know what? You've already spoken a little bit about this movie on the podcast, so maybe let's start with Jeff today. Jeff, what were your thoughts on Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery?
Well, Dave, I guess you could say my thoughts on Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery are best summed up in the form of a limerick.
Let's hear it, Jeff.
So far with these films, it's the fashion to have fun and reveal the assassin. Though that's still in place, this one speaks of grace, a mystery that teaches compassion.
Nicely done,
Lovely.
Jeff. Nicely done.
I have to admit, going into this one, my expectations were a little muted, not because I don't have faith in Rian Johnson. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, certainly one of my favorite writers. And I absolutely adore the Benoit Blanc films, the two previous ones. But I felt
we think they should be called Benoit Blanc mysteries, right?
Indeed.
We have advocated that to Rian Johnson himself.
The ship has sailed. The knives are already out.
You really want to tie a franchise to one actor. That's a very wise thing to do.
One character, Devindra. One character.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's true.
But having said that, I tend to not be super interested in churchy stuff. That's not what I'm drawn to narratively. That said, I think this is far and away my favorite Benoit Blanc film.
Wow.
This is, I think, an absolute triumph of a movie. I don't know of any other person other than Rian Johnson that does this as well, which is make something that is on the face of it just fun, genre, all the trappings of a great mystery. This one, I think, has the most satisfying surprise ending of the three. You know, mysteries always have a surprise ending. I don't mean to say surprise ending as a spoiler. Mysteries inherent in a mystery is that you didn't see it coming.
They surprise you with what happens.
How it happened is surprising.
Yep.
I think this one has the best reveal of the three for my money. And so it does the base and is very fun, has great characters, is just a blast. There's some real, humor moments. There's some, it's a great ride. How it conveys its story. There's some really fun flourishes of, embedded storytelling devices that are surprising that the second one did really well as well. And the first one did too. So it does all the things that I like about these movies that are just fun, just pure fun. But the thing that Rian Johnson does better than anybody, I think, is he actually has something substantive to say that's embedded in this fun genre exercise. That he's still hitting the marks of what I want out of just a pulpy murder mystery, but it is so much more interesting than that because it is talking about our times. It has a real message of hope. Let's put it that way. It is juxtaposing really huge ideas on all sides. It is wrestling with the themes of our day, of our contemporary life. It is using metaphor and also making things that are usually metaphorical literal in order to really explore some of the things that we as a culture are facing right now. And I just adore how this movie does it. It's awesome that he has reached the stature as a writer and filmmaker that he can have his pick of the greatest actors of our generation and of multiple generations in this movie. Actually, I would say 3 generations of the greatest actors are here. And what a stellar cast. I mean, you get Glenn Close just owning every scene she's in. Josh Brolin is awesome. I love Josh O'Connor. I think he's just fascinating to watch in every single thing I've ever seen him in. Even like tiny little bit parts. Like Jeffrey Wright is in this for like a minute and a half Like he can have these incredibly great actors just popping in to do pop-ins in his movies. It's just awesome. And, there's just so much to like. I think this is the best of the three. And you guys know how high esteem I hold these movies. And I think this one is the best of the bunch. So, man, I can't wait to talk more in spoilers, but overall thoughts, a triumph.
Wow. Well, Devindra Hardwar, I seem to recall you saying that this is probably your least favorite of the three. Is that right?
I saw the first time I saw it. I've seen it twice now because it's on Netflix, easily watchable. I thought it was great the first time, but it felt to me like it didn't have that juice, or at least the fun juice I really enjoyed from the first Knives Out, or even Glass Onion, which felt like a romp. It just felt like a romp with some celebrities and like
this does not feel like a romp in my opinion.
Does not feel like a romp.
It's darker for sure.
Yeah.
Dare I say a little preachy at times, this movie, in literally. But you know what? Going back a second time, I think like I was thrown by the swerves this movie does. And the thing Rian Johnson does better than anybody else, I think, is like deliver something you don't expect, right? And this is not the same kind of movie that the first two Knives Out were. Looking back at it now, or at least the second time, like I really appreciate the writing, just how sharp it is. There's just little things that just make me laugh in this movie. Young, Dumb, and Full of Christ.
Yeah,
like, you got to know.
So good.
You got to know that reference to know why that's funny. There's a great Star Wars thing, which we could talk about and spoil it. Just perfect. It's like nobody else can do that, but also the fact that he's doing that. Oh my God. So good. Yeah. So like, I really appreciated the writing this time around, and he is having fun. It's just like in service of, I think, delivering a really compelling message and really like important moral message for right now. And I'm again also not somebody who's really into things really exploring the church or sort of like the role of the church. But what this movie is doing is like it's a great moral conversation about how we want to approach life, how we want to approach how the church could help people, or like what role it can play. There's a phone conversation in this movie that I think is kind of remarkable in terms of how the scene plays out, because it starts one way and it transforms into something else. And like, it's
beautiful.
It's so delicate. Yeah. You're like, oh man, that takes a lot of work and talent to even do that little thing, right? It's a guy talking to a phone. You never see the person on the other side. And that sort of things like reminds me, oh yeah, you know what, Rian Johnson, this is why I love this guy, because he's doing things that really not many other people are. It's always inventive. He's always trying something new. So yeah, I like this movie a lot more upon second viewing. It just doesn't feel like the other Knives Out. So I can't rank them because they feel like so different. And what it is unique too, that they can feel so different, right? These are not movies centered on Benoit Blanc. These are movies about Benoit Blanc coming into a situation and like just trying to figure things out. And that is the appeal. We get very little backstory on him because we don't need it. It's a good guy. I think like that's what makes it really compelling. So he's balancing a lot. He's juggling a lot. I think it still gets too twisty at the end. You know, he's just like, at a certain point, it just feels like showing off. It's like, oh, you're juggling 10 plates now. I see. And it is fun. It just, to me, narratively, it feels like it feels like a big bite. It just feels like a lot that you're trying to take in at once. But it's still like really well executed. It's a great mystery. I love this movie. I like it a lot more the second time around. Don't ask me to rank Knives Out movies. I can't.
Okay, guys. I have a whole spiel about the state.
I feel like this movie was made for you.
I have a whole spiel about. I mean, let me just offer some brief thoughts about this movie in general. It is my favorite Knives Out movie, or Benoit Blanc story. For me, most mystery stories of this kind are fun little romps that I watch and I enjoy in the moment, and then it's like, okay, I never think about it again. Even Poker Face, very enjoyable show, like super fun to watch. But like, it's rare that I go back, you know, because I'm not like, oh wow, that was a profound story, and I really, you know, it's like, hey, well, that was fun, and it was cool the way you tricked me a little bit, and then this is
usually it's a magic trick, right?
Yeah,
and once you've seen the magic trick,
you've seen the magic trick, it's like, it's okay.
No need to revisit.
I don't need to see it again. See it again. I think Rian Johnson knows that, and so this movie is wildly ambitious, right? Because he knows all the tropes and he's like, I'm gonna do it better. And usually you have like 10 people and you don't give a shit about any of them. Well, I'm gonna try to make you care about each one of them. And it doesn't make sense for Benoit Blanc to just like have a big reveal and explain everything. Like, we need to figure out a better way to do that. And we don't want to just have Christianity be the backdrop. I want to actually say something about the state of modern Catholicism, faith in America today, etc. I want to do it better. It's like he's trying to do all these things, and in my opinion, I don't think it fully succeeds at every single one of those things. Like I don't think it fully succeeds at many of those things. I think because, as Devindra indicated, it does get a little bit too twisty. I do see the gears turning. I do see he's just trying to one up the format so much. And I don't know that it all fully works because there's just not enough time, even at like almost 2.5 hours long or 2.5 hours long. Like, it's just not enough time to really accomplish all that. But having said all that, I did start by saying this is my favorite one of the movies. And that's because I do think it actually has something really meaningful to say and does so in a very smart, enjoyable, accessible way. There is a pastor named Russell Moore, who's one of the top officials in the Southern Baptist Convention. And he once gave an interview to All Things Considered that really struck me. In this interview, he described Christianity in America as being in crisis. Mm-hmm. And why does he believe that? And here's the quote from Russell Moore. He says, "It was the result of having multiple pastors tell me, essentially, the same story about quoting the Sermon on the Mount." By the way, for those who don't know, Sermon on the Mount, one of the most famous sermons that Jesus ever gave. It was a barn burner, right? All timer, right? And one of the things, it's very like, blessed are the meek, they'll inherit the earth. It's very like, oh, it's the people you don't think are going to inherit the earth that like are going to inherit the earth. And parenthetically in their preaching, turn the other cheek. And to have someone come up afterwards and say, where did you get those liberal talking points? And what was alarming to me is that in most of these scenarios, when the pastor would say, I'm literally quoting Jesus Christ, the response would not be, oh, I apologize. The response would be, yes, but that doesn't work anymore. That's weak.
Yeah.
And we get to the point where the teachings of Jesus himself are seen as subversive to us. Then we're in a crisis. End quote.
Yep.
And part of evangelical Christianity. So I'm familiar with evangelical Christianity. I know that he's a priest and Catholic in the movie, and so like just know that like it's not exactly a one-to-one match. Although I think like many of the principles are broadly applicable. But part of the DNA of evangelical Christianity is the idea that Christians are the oppressed ones, right? Like, we are the ones that, and when I say we, I used to be Christian. I'm no longer. So we want to be clear about that. But Christians are the ones that like, they're doing things different than the way the rest of the world. And the world will hate you for it. The world will look down on you and they'll give you a hard time for it, right? That is in the DNA of evangelical Christianity. And what Christians found in President Trump was, yes, they understood he's divorced and whatever. He doesn't exactly live the life that probably Jesus was describing in the Bible, right?
Biggest understatement of all time.
But this guy, I'm just trying to describe it how they think, okay, Jeff?
Yeah.
But this guy is gonna freaking fight back. Like, he is gonna give it to them. He is gonna completely, shred our opponents in a way that we have longed for and have never had the ability to do before. And that power feels good. Like, it's like, oh wow, for so long Christians have been on the outside. We've been the ones people are like, your opinions don't matter, you don't get to shape culture, like we don't care what you think. And it's given Christians a big complex, and their response is anger. Their response is fury, and their response is someone
just
like Donald Trump.
Jesus taught.
And their response is Donald Trump, who embodies a lot of the kind of anger and fury that they feel and who they find to be a useful avatar for their purposes. How is that relevant to Wake Up Dead Man? Well, if you've seen the movie, you understand exactly why it's relevant, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the movie sets up a dichotomy between Josh O'Connor's character, who is a priest, and Josh Brolin's character, who is also a priest, and Josh Brolin is very much like the angry fire and brimstone type guy, and Josh O'Connor is very much like the modern, sort of more. Josh Brolin represents anger and fury, and wrath and justice, and Josh O'Connor represents grace and mercy. Like these are the two competing forces in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And the film has a very clear position on like which one of them is the path that we should take, and it's somewhat nuanced about it. And that's what I really appreciate about this film. And it speaks to the current moment, and it does so like in the structure of a whodunit, which is ridiculous to me. But like that part, I think like the fact that he was able to get this theme in there is amazing, to me. Like,
it's all built around the theme too. It's not just getting it in there, right?
It's not like
the core of the story.
It's like organically part of it, right?
That's great. Yeah.
And that's what makes this movie remarkable, right? Even though I like the mystery, I'm not at the end. I'm not like, oh, ideally, I think at the end of the mystery, you're like, oh, so cool, blah blah blah, and I can't believe I didn't see that. Like ideally, and I didn't really feel any of those things, unfortunately, for the mystery itself. But what I did feel was, wow. This is such a profound illustration of the forces that are guiding Americans' faith right now. And I really greatly appreciate the movie. And that's why it's my favorite one of the movies. Okay. Thank you for sitting through.
I'd go farther than that. I don't even think it's just about faith.
Mm-hmm.
Hit us, Jeff.
I think it uses faith as a vehicle to talk about something even broader, which is hard to fathom. But I think it's true. I think this is this movie puts into stark relief the concept of compassion.
Yeah.
It's about compassion. And do you have compassion for your fellow man? And learning compassion. And I think that it uses faith and the church as a vehicle for that message, as the church has done itself for thousands of years. But I think it is even more broadly applicable than just speaking about the state of modern Christianity or evangelical, the evangelical movement. It really is like, that's what I love about it, is that in the same way that Conclave isn't just about the Pope, right? This is a metaphor for something even broader that's applicable to every person's life. And again, to do that in the context of a murder mystery that's just there to wow you and pull the rug out from under you and have fun with that. And it still does all those things too.
Right.
Like it's an amazing accomplishment. And just like the fact that literally every single thing you see adds up to something else later. Every single thing is, that's the fun magic trick of a murder mystery that he does super well. But as Devindra says, like infused at every level with this theme of compassion and humanity and basic humanity and what are we to each other and what is important. I just think this is, I hope everybody on Netflix watches this movie because I think it's a profound, and I don't know, I wouldn't call it preachy. I think it is. I think it embeds its message.
I was joking because it is literally preachy at times. But yeah,
sure. I mean, it's not preachy.
You literally see sermons on screen.
But I think that the message is cleverly embedded in a way we were talking about at the beginning of this episode, in the sense of you have to do a little of the work. Like it is asking the viewer to go along and be complicit in man. This is just hitting me just now. But in the same way that you're doing 1 + 1 is 2 and 2 + 2 is 4 in the murder mystery stuff and going, oh, now I get it. He's doing the same thing thematically in, okay, well, if this and this are true, then this and this are also true. And now I'm questioning what I assumed was already true.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. It's diabolical, really. Like he's getting his liberal talking points in there. But at a time where their conservatives are literally making compassion a weakness, like showing any form of compassion. Like I think like that.
They're saying empathy. Some people arguing it's. I mean, okay, Jeff,
it's insane.
Right. You're right. I'm glad that it's a more broadly applicable message. And also, it
it
speaks extremely specifically to like what Christians' faith in God, like all these people are engaged in right now. This debate, and Devindra, as you point out, there's a whole branch of Christians right now arguing that empathy is against the principles of the Bible. Which I'm just like, we have so freaking lost the plot.
Have you guys read any of this stuff? Yeah.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous to me. It's outrageous. Anyway, sorry.
There's a great scene. The scene where Benoit Blanc basically is introduced, by the way. Love everything about that scene. Like the way
the speech he gives,
but also like from the beginning, Josh O'Connor is pleading to God, "Send me a sign." Benoit Blanc comes in, silhouette, perfect, like such good stuff. Yeah. And then they have a speech. Like Benoit Blanc is like, "Yeah, I'm a rationalist, right? I believe what I can see," and he has a good thing. And then Josh O'Connor has a perfect response, but also it's perfectly framed. And the sun comes up behind him, and it lights him up.
It's unbelievable.
in a very glorious, heavenly way. I was like, "Oh, I see what you're doing," but also, that works. That works really well. And even Benoit Blanc is like, "Huh, I agree with at least that. Like, it's about storytelling. By the way, a thing we were talking about, but it is storytelling. It's the stories we tell ourselves."
The line you're describing is: do these stories convince us of a lie, or do they resonate with something deep inside us that's profoundly true? End quote. So it's a very beautiful idea.
What great writers do, in my opinion, the greatest of writers, you could start with Shakespeare doing this. I would put in a more contemporary setting. This is why I enjoy Aaron Sorkin, for example, putting the best argument in the mouth of characters that he disagrees with. And I think that strengthens your thesis statement if the character that you are aligned with as an author has to stand against the extremely well-reasoned, articulate opposition. And when I see that dramatized, great plays do this. When you have characters that are both bringing their A games to argue a point, it is transcendent. And I think that's what I love as a viewer. And that's what he does here, is that he gives Benoit Blanc a freaking standing ovation type speech where I'm like, you've said everything I believe. Yes, this is why I throw it all out. And then you have Josh O'Connor like retort in a very effective, beautiful, eloquent way. And so you are asked to actually think as a viewer, as a listener, and it's great.
All right, let's do some spoilers real quick for Wake Up Dead Man starting right now. All right, we're going to spoil every single Knives Out movie. So I just want to be clear starting now. If you haven't seen the other one, I don't know why you're listening to this if you haven't seen the other ones, but I'm going to spoil every single Knives Out movie. And I just want to say, guys, I had no idea we'd be in a situation where every single time there's a murder near Benoit Blanc, it's an Avenger that did it. So the next movie... Whoever the Avengers,
somebody who was in the Avengers, somebody who's in the Avengers, whoever the Avenger is, that's who the killer.
Your
Avenger movie cast member.
That's the main suspect.
So when the Incredible Hulk is in the next one,
that's right. I mean, he was in the last one, but
I don't mean Bruce Banner. I mean Incredible Hulk.
I see. But it was, it was nice to see Hawkeye go up against Thanos again. That was good. That was good. Okay, here's a point I have to make about the end of this film, which is I think that we see probably the most growth for Benoit Blanc in this movie out of any of the films, right?
Sure.
And essentially what happens at the end of this movie, here is, as far as I can understand it, right, is Benoit Blanc has said throughout the film, hey, the moment when I get up there in the accusing parlor and solve the crime, it's amazing, incredible experience. Like, it's one of my favorite things in the world. And it's obviously a very self-aggrandizing thing because he's like one of the best detectives in the world. And his arc in this film is realizing he cannot solve the crime. Why is that? It's because he recognizes that Glenn Close's lips are light-colored, meaning that she has also taken the fatal dose of the phenobarbital or whatever the drug is, the drug that will kill her. And the reason he cannot solve the crime, phenobarbital, I think. Anyway, the reason he cannot solve the crime is that if he does it, she will not be able to confess herself, and suicide is obviously a grave crime in the Catholic Church. And so she will then be condemned to hell. So he must not solve the crime in order for Glenn Close to be able to come forward and solve it herself. And that is like, kind of a cool idea.
I think that is the details that are true, but what is actually more important than that is that he as an atheist, an avowed atheist who is clearly set himself up as thinking this is all hogwash, comes to respect the needs of this woman's faith.
Yes,
right.
That's right.
And that's the true. I mean, you said the details
Jeff,
of it.
I had to explain, what the mechanics were. But yes, right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
He is respecting the hogwash.
Yes, even though he's a rationalist, right?
That's
like
right. And I think this movie over and again, is about what we need. To go on, right? It is about narrative. It's about storytelling. It's about the things we tell ourselves and the things we need to our daily bread. It's our daily bread. What is your daily bread? And our daily bread can be as secular as fuck. Because we all need our daily bread, right? Mm-hmm. They have codified it in religion in a very specific way. But what this movie is about is that we all need it. We all need our daily bread. And whether that's a religious thing or not a religious thing, I think what Benoit Blanc gets to is, who am I to say what yours is?
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. It's not necessarily something I agree with, but it's beautiful because I think there's too much pain and human suffering that comes along with just letting people believe whatever the fuck they want to believe. But, but I do think it's a beautiful sentiment, and it is at the heart of the compassion that I think is this movie's central theme. We have compassion for what other people need, for all of the needs of each of these characters who are all hurting and coming to the church for something. And at the end of the movie, we step through each of them, and they've all found their daily bread. Right. And I found that to be so powerful. I was weeping at the end of this movie. I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful film. And it is so nuanced and so respectful and so compassionate.
Yeah.
I'm reading these novels right now, the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and they do a very similar thing in that it is this big, bombastic, complicated fantasy story like Lord of the Rings. But at the heart of it, every single thing is about the one thing that's most important, and that's compassion. And I love this movie. I just think it's an incredible magic trick.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jeff, that ultimately compassion is the thing that it advocates for, that and that's been a through line in many of Rian Johnson's movies. Like, it's not just this one, right? So that is something I greatly appreciate.
I loved the little Star Wars joke. But it's like that is what
when he said it, I'm like, isn't that line from Star Wars? And then literally someone on screen says it.
So good. So, and then he goes, the rebels. And the guy's like, but it's like also commenting on the weird bastardization of that belief system.
Absolutely.
Which is wild. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is the thing that hurts my heart so much is I think if he had, I think that his Star Wars movie was pushing this franchise that direction.
Yeah.
Toward compassion, toward you're not just a special person who was born special and is special, but you can each of us can do what we can in order to better the galaxy, because we all have it within ourselves to show compassion and to do the right thing and to be the Jedi in our hearts, right? And it fucking sucks that the series, the whole franchise has just abandoned that and become what you're talking about. People say about Jesus Christ, which is like, well, it was never really about that anyway. Isn't Vader fucking cool? It's like, no, Vader wasn't fucking cool. He was the fucking bad guy. Anyway,
you're right, Jeff. It was in that too, right? Like the phrase, let the past die, kill it if you have to, was spoken by the bad guy in the movie, right? And we talked about this with Rian Johnson, and I think people think of the Last Jedi as being like, forget the past, like, you know, we're getting rid of the past, like nothing from the past is here anymore, and that's actually not the message, because at the very end, they still have the Jedi sacred texts, right?
Yeah,
of that,
right.
like they still have the texts, and it is, we revere the past, we respect the past, but we do not let the past rule us. And we adjust and we try to do the best in the modern times that we're in. And that's one of my takeaways from Last Jedi. And I do think it's a takeaway here as well.
I would venture to say this may be speaking out of turn or whatever, or overstepping. I think this movie is in dialogue with The Last Jedi.
Oh, for sure.
I think Wake Up Dead Man exists because he went through the experience of the last. Like, so much of the like social media aspect of this movie and the, you know, what people are saying about what you said, and now your thing went
bad
viral.
Bad faith. Bad faith. This is a response to bad faith. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, seems like there are many things that we really appreciated about this one, and it's well worth checking out. When I checked the other day, it was the #1 film on Netflix. By the way, I'm just gonna put this out there. I don't think it would be the #1 film if the first movie hadn't come out in theaters. Just gonna leave that there.
Can I tell you something real quick? I think it's audacious that this movie is called Wake Up Dead Man. Because the title is like giving away a major fucking thing, but it still kind of works. It's crazy.
It works.
I also love the way the title is revealed in the movie. Like the door opens, and then no audio or sound cue, just like cut to the title. And then we're back in the scene.
But it's also
in this movie.
It's also a metaphor for Benoit Blanc himself, who's a dead man who's waking up.
Yeah.
He was really bored in Glass Onion, and now he's like trying to find a thing to root for, you know? So,
I will say this. I found all the Mila Kunis stuff to be quite silly. You know,
she's not good. She's not good. I don't know why she
feels a little miscast. And also it's like, I think he's like, he being Rian Johnson's like straining to figure out a way to make this make sense in the context of a normal police investigation. Which like, none of it makes, because it's like Benoit Blanc is actively subverting the police work that's going on in the movie at multiple points, which is just odd to see. I don't, I think it's just kind of like you want to tell the story of Benoit Blanc, and then like the police stuff, in my opinion, like gets in the way of that.
This doesn't exist in the real world. This is a world where everyone knows a police detective. Like he's an internationally famous police detective. You know what I mean?
You're the guy that solved the mystery of the Seven Kingdoms.
That doesn't exist in the real world. You know, like that's
All right.
I want to point out, just watching this movie, I just want to point out, like, look at the editing. Look at the way things flow into each other. Like, this is such a sharply edited movie. The lines, the way he cuts like to the joke, response in the edit is always fun. So this movie does reward multiple viewings. So I want to put that out there.
And while we're shouting things out, Nathan Johnson's wonderful score. I love that they opened with a score instead of that, Netflix's terrible opening music. I mean, the music is not bad, but
I liked the there's going to be the dumb version of us on Netflix.
Yes.
Line that was very funny.
Oh, and there was also, Jeff, I don't know if you saw that, like he was writing the book like The Pastor and the Troubadour or whatever. Yeah. And like word count 787,000 words.
Yeah.
Which would take like 80 hours to read it all if you anyway. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of fun touches at the end of the, and who knows, we hope there'll be more.
Yes.
Hopefully Netflix will want to make more of them. But at the end of the day, it is really impressive that Rian Johnson made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.